With Kylian Mbappe now at Real Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti faces the challenge of integrating the world's best player into a team already filled with superstars. Ancelotti must craft a system that maximizes both the likes of Vinicius Jr. as well as Mbappe's talents, whilst ensuring the squad operates in a cohesive winning unit. Here's how you can successfully recreate Carlo Ancelotti's Super Cup tactics in FC24. Carlo Ancelotti lined his side up in a 4-2-3-1 system, having a front four of Jude Bellingham, Rodrigo on the right-hand side, Vinicius Jr. on the left, and Kylian Mbappe up front. Now, these positions really do mean little in a Carlo Ancelotti system, as he does allow his players the freedom to express themselves, and that means it was a very fluid front four system, having the likes of Jude Bellingham up front at times on the left-hand side, Vinicius Jr. was on the right, up front, and the number 10 role, and the same can be said for Mbappe and of course Rodrigo. Now, as already mentioned, Carlo Ancelotti does prefer for his players to adapt to the in-game situations that the opposition presents to them. Now, that is why for the tactical vision I have set this to standard, as this will allow for a nice adaptable system to be created. If we take a look at the defense and the defensive style, I have set this to balance, and this will be linked to the standard approach throughout the entirety of the offense and the defense. And it will look to try and maintain the natural shape of the side, that 4-2-3-1 system. Now, when out of possession of the ball, due to the certain individual player instructions, you will see a 4-4-2 system formulate, having the likes of Vinicius Jr. and the likes of Kylian Mbappe stay up front and be the outlet ball in certain moments for the quick transitions. This will also allow for a lot of central pressing to occur in those midfield zones. Tchouaméni and Valverde were very proactive and reactive when the likes of Atalanta crossed the halfway line and looked to work their way into the midfield zones. And speaking of which, the team's width is set to 20, allowing you to try and compress in those central zones, looking to try and disturb the rhythm that Atalanta were trying to create for their side. This meant that Atalanta were forced out wide, where the likes of Ferland Mendy on the left-hand side and Carvajal on the right were able to deal with their wide attackers. The team's depth will be set to 60, looking for a surety in the backline, not looking to really push them too high up the field, but also looking to have a decent high line in order to try and have that possession-based brand of football that you might be looking to instill. Onto the offensive instructions now, and the build-up play along with the chance creation should both be set to balance. This will incorporate the slow build-up approach, the fast build-up approach, or even the long ball system that we have seen in certain moments with the quick transitions that you might be looking to launch. Like I mentioned, the likes of Carlo Ancelotti is quite happy for Vinicius Jr. to drop short into the midfield zones, combined with Jude Bellingham, have that possession style based football, or in certain moments have his forwards make those aggressive, more direct runs in behind where the long ball approach might be applied, or those longer through passes might be initiated essentially from those deeper midfield pockets. For the team's offensive width, I have left this on 50, allowing for a nice generalized balanced attacking structure to occur, whether they are looking to attack from the wider angles or potentially from those central zones, more so in the midfield areas. You will see a nice natural mixed run attacking pattern generate from this side. The players in the box should be set to 7, and this will incorporate at least 3 to 4 players, more so that front 4 getting into those attacking zones and looking to try and exploit the opposition with their attacking runs into the box. And then finally, the corners and the free kicks, as per always, should be set to 4. If we take a look at the individual player roles and instructions, we'll start off at the back with the goalkeeper and Thibaut Courtois, who will be set to come for crosses as he is quite tall, quite physical, and he can claim those aerial threats when they are whipped into the box from a cross or a corner kick, which is also a cross, by the way. The saving outside of the box will be set to balance, as he is seen as more of a traditional-based goalkeeper who will look to stay on his line and make those saves in those 1v1 situations. He's not the best at being able to play out from the back, and he will often tend to punt the ball long and alleviate and clear his lines with immediate effect. The two centre-backs in Rudiger as well as Militao, you'll see here that Militao will be set to the base set of instructions, whereas the likes of Rudiger, I have set him to step up. You want to initiate that aggressive nature that Rudiger does have. So more or less, having him step up will have him impose himself on the opposition, which is more or less how you can create that aggressive temperament in game without having him completely disturb your defensive structure. Now, both Rudiger as well as Militao are very adaptable, and they can also be good ball-playing centre-backs, whether that's launching long balls further forward and behind, potentially if you are looking for that more direct attacking route, or potentially receiving those shorter passes from the goalkeeper and looking to play out under pressure from the opposition. So if we take a look at our fullbacks, and we'll start off with the left-hand side in Ferland Mendy, his attacking outlet wasn't always there. He was allowed to attack, yes, but due to the fact that Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe would overload down the left-hand side, his role was more or less reserved. He would look to attack when the opportunities were there, but it was more so looking to defend that wider left space. Now, essentially, when Real Madrid looked to build out from the back, he would be one of the outlets down that wider left channel, looking to try and draw out the central presence from the opposition from the midfield areas. They would pass the ball out to Mendy, that would draw out the opposition's press, he would pass it back into Rudiger, and then he would find a pass into Tchouaméni or Valverde, who were less likely to be marked due to the fact that Mendy had drawn out the opposition's press. As you'll see here for the run type, when he did get forward, he would look to overlap the likes of Vinicius Jr. or Mbappe, or whoever was out there situated on that left-hand flank, and he would look to make those overlapping runs further forward. If we take a look at the likes of Carvajal, who was set to join the attack, and this is down to the likes of Rodrigo's instructions itself, but he was a lot more of a threat down the right-hand side, looking to attack that space that was often vacated due to the fact that people were so busy marking Mbappe and Rodrigo and Bellingham and Vinicius Jr. that they didn't tend to pick up Carvajal and his advanced runs further forward. And just like with Mendy, when he was allowed to get forward and when he did break forward, he would look to overlap the right wing. A double pivot consisting of Tchouaméni as well as Valverde tended to work quite well in tandem, having the likes of Valverde plays that box-to-box role looking to attack almost as a right wing in certain moments, whereas the likes of Tchouaméni was just the sitter. He was allowed to drift into that defensive third, almost plays a third sense back in certain moments, collect the ball in those deeper areas, and then progress it further forward. Now, in order to successfully create his role, he would be set to tight mark, stay back while attacking, be the deep-lying playmaker, and cover the central zones. Whereas the likes of Valverde was a bit more of the energy bunny, as he always is. He would look to cut passing lanes, make sure that he is trying to intercept the play and break it up as best as possible in those midfield zones. You would also want him to be set to have aggressive interceptions. Him, along with Bellingham, Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, were very good at being able to press those central zones and even at times the wider flanks of the likes of Atalanta. The ability for him to drift wide when in possession of the ball, looking to try and overload down that right-hand side alongside either a Bellingham or Rodrigo, combining very effectively with those players as well as the likes of Carvajal, did tend to work in Real Madrid's favor, as he did get off, a few aggressive runs down that wider right space. And when Real Madrid are out of possession of the ball, the likes of Valverde does look to try and drift along the back line, looking to try and pick up any potential spaces and try and block off any potential run patterns that the opposition might be looking to exploit. Now we progress into the trident attack, a very fluid trident attack, and at the base of that was more so the likes of Jude Bellingham, who also had a slightly less, attacking role, a bit more of a reserve role, but a bit more of a role that we were used to seeing Bellingham in during his time at Birmingham and even at the likes of Borussia Dortmund. He was more of a box-to-box midfielder, looking to pick up the ball in those deeper spaces and then progress it forward and look to try and link the defense to the midfield and then the midfield to the attack. So he would be set to come back on defense, and this will help him drop quite deep at times in that number 10 role, but dropping into the midfield zones, combining very effectively with Tchouaméni, and with the certain instructions and the different player roles, you would see him pick up that left space. Now, essentially in the game versus Atalanta, that was more or less the area that he was picking up, looking to drop quite deep, looking to try and defend that left space area. And that is more or less what you will see with these instructions. Comeback on defense is going to be essential, as well as the support on crosses being set to balance. Now, you do have a strong attacking presence with Vinicius Jr., the likes of Kylian Mbappe and Rodrigo, all looking to attack that central zone. So you don't want to flood it all the time with 4 attacking players. The likes of Jude Bellingham will look to get into the box every now and then, but he will look to be more of the chief creator for the front 3. The free roaming role does help him interchange very nicely and create that nice fluidity in your front line with the likes of Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, and Mbappe. And then finally, you want his interceptions to be set to aggressive, making sure he is very proactive and reactive in the passing lanes and looking to try and initiate that aggressive press. Onto the right-hand side, and Rodrigo did have a few more defensive duties, and he was instructed to drop back at times, looking to help back on the defense and allowing for Mbappe and Vinicius to be able to play further up the field and be the essential out there balls. Now, essentially for the chance creation, you want him to be set to free roam, and this will help him interchange very nicely from that wider right space, but also the ability for him to come short. Now, this will help him tuck in and almost feature as a number 10 or even a striker in certain moments, and allow for the likes of Carvajal to have free reign down that right-hand side. This will also allow Rodrigo to switch the wings and look to attack down that left-hand side, which is something that we have seen in the past for this man right here. And then finally, the interception should be set to aggressive, and you also want him arcing his runs into the box from that wider right space. The left flank, mainly consisting of Vinicius Jr. at times, he will be set to stay forward, as well as you also want him to free roam. But you'll see here for the support runs, I have set him to balanced, as this will allow him to be a target player looking to hold up the ball down that wider left space, or even get him behind with those more aggressive, pacier runs, looking to exploit the space and be a bit more of a direct attacking player. You'll also see here that he will be set to maintaining aggressive interceptions as well as getting into the box, and quite often we would see Vinicius drift into those central zones, looking to combine very effectively with Mbappe and of course Bellingham, and look for Mbappe to operate in that wide left space. So you would see them very often interchanging those positions of who would be the striker and who would be, the left winger. And as you'll see here, for the instructions of Mbappe, we are trying to create a nice, fluid, dynamic attacking system. So you want him to be able to drift wide, and quite often you see him drifting into that wider left or that wider right channel, and this will allow either the likes of Vinicius Jr., Bellingham, or Rodrigo to feature as that centre forward in brief moments in the game. The attacking runs should also be set to false 9. Now, I did try this out with the getting behind approach, but this more or less kept him as that striker looking to consistently make those runs in behind, which does score you a lot of goals. Believe it or not, if you put one of the fastest players in FC24 up front, he will look to score you quite a few goals. But if you put him and deploy him as a false 9, it will have him drop into the midfield. It will have him dropping into that wider right space, and you'll see a lot more interchange and combination occur between your front four. The interception should be set to normal, as we did see him pressing every now and then, but it wasn't a consistent feature to his game. And then finally, you want him to also stay forward and help formulate that front two system with the likes of Vinicius Jr. up front. And there you go, my dudes. That is how I would successfully go ahead and recreate Carlo Ancelotti's 4-2-3-1 system that he lined up Real Madrid in for the Super Cup versus Atalanta. I do hope you have enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to smash the like button, as well as we are on the journey to 10,000 subscribers. So if you are not a part of it yet, please do hit that big red subscription button. It would be an absolute honor to have you on the channel, as well as hit the bell notification. That will let you know every time I tend to upload a video, which is more or less every single day. We also have a Discord server, the Brom Squad Gaming Discord server. We chat everything football on there, FC24, FC25, some of the new features. We have some massive debates, some fantastic conversations. So if you are interested in potentially joining the football chat, the link will be down below in the description for you to go ahead and click. Anyways, until the next time, until the next one, I hope you guys have a smashing goddamn day, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Peace.